So, ma'am, since there are total 12 students and already 5 are there, so I think four are there. So you may start in the meanwhile. If students will come, we'll allow them to join.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Jagdamba Prasad.
Thank you.
And at the same time, I welcome the learners of PGDSLM who have joined the present session. This is the first session of the program. And let's start by an introduction. I'll appreciate if each one of you introduces himself and herself for about 2 to 3 minutes so that we get an idea about each other and have some kind of a sense of what each one of us is doing. That can then be factored into the discussion pertaining to the session here. So I think I'll start with myself. My name is Poonam Bhushan. I teach at the Indira Gandhi National Open University, and I have coordinated nearly 3 courses of the PGDSLM. The first course also has been coordinated by me. So I think that introduction should be sufficient. So can you just volunteer and start introducing yourselves, please? Yes, just waiting for you to begin with self introductions, please. You can just tell whether you are teaching or are planning to teach. Yeah, yes, please go ahead. Yes.
My name is Mubarak Ali Idris from Nigeria, postgraduate diploma in school leadership and management.
Okay, can you please repeat that sentence? There's some disturbance in your audio.
I repeat, my name is Mubarak Ali Idris. I am from Nigeria, taking postgraduate diploma in school leadership and management.
All right. Are you currently a teacher? Are you a prospective teacher? What is the status there?
So I'm a teacher.
You're already a teacher in a elementary school, secondary school?
Secondary school.
All right. Welcome to this program. Let's move further. Can we have the second? Yes, please go ahead. Anas, you can introduce yourself, please. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning to
Good
you.
morning.
It's good afternoon for us here. So good
Afwan.
morning. Please.
Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Anas Mahmoud. I'm from Kano, Nigeria, and I'm also a teacher. I teach in secondary school. I take mathematics.
Nan ƙara turo wannan course abin nan.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the introduction and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Ana barin dan mai activating akai karamar wayan ne ba network.
I think you have
No?
switch off your mics when you're not talking. There's a lot of disturbance.
Nan boye ka.
Yeah. Thanks.
Can I,
Yes.
can I
Abdul.
introduce myself?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yes.
Can I introduce myself? Can I speak?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Sholariwaju, currently in Kano, school principal in Kano, in Nigeria.
Most welcome to the program and look forward to changing your experiences as the principal. Okay, so Mr. Peter, can we have your introduction, please, now? Mr. Peter, can we have your introduction, please? Are you there? Okay, so it seems he is not responding. Either he's not there or maybe he doesn't want to introduce himself. So we'll just move ahead. Let me ask you one question here that we started with an induction program on Saturday, I think. Have you people been able to, after that, look at the different courses of this particular program? Were you able to access the materials? Were you able to go through the materials? Have you done any kind of readings before coming for this session? So has anybody been able to read the materials of the first course? Or you people do not have the time to read? Yeah. Yes. Yes, Mr. Abdul,
Yes,
you want to,
yes, I've been able to go through the learning platform
okay.
and seeing the courses and the course materials. I briefly went through the first notes
All right.
for the whole course.
Okay. So you have been able to make sense of the program, which is the postgraduate diploma in school leadership and management. I guess by now you know there are five courses in this program, and there is also an
Yes,
essential, yeah. So there's also an essential component of the extended contact program, which will be there for 4 days. I'm not too sure whether the others have been able to go through the materials or not, but it would be highly appreciated if the rest of the learners also are able to at least devote some time towards reading of the materials, because as was told to you earlier, these are the counseling sessions. This is not going to be actually a lecture on the materials which are already there, since you are all adult learners, we do expect that you would be motivated enough to go through the materials on your own, and after that whatever you have not been able to understand because of a variety of reasons, if whatever are the difficult spots, whatever have been the hard spots, so to say, will be brought to the counseling session, so that the interaction between the facilitator or the counselor and yourselves is meaningful, and it kind of focuses on your problems. Okay, so lecturing is not what we intend to do with you people. Hopefully this will be observed, before you come for your sessions of different courses. You would have kind of at least browsed through the materials. I am not expecting that you would have done an intense reading, but at the same time a browser is required, and that will be highly appreciated. Now the second thing is that we also want these sessions to become very interactive. I don't want to keep on speaking. I want to even hear from you. I want to know what are your experiences, what are your expectations, since all of you are already teaching in secondary schools. So what is it that you think is happening to schools? What are the skills and knowledge and attitudes required of the head teacher or the school principal? What are the roles and responsibilities? What are the changes that are coming up in the school system, as compared to when we were studying, and when we were going to schools? What is the difference that you feel? Where are the factors located of the differences that are happening in schools? So let me begin the discussion here with this particular point. Even though it is discussed in the first unit of the 004 course, which is called head teachers as school leaders, here we have discussed that schools are undergoing a transformation because of various reasons, which might be local, national, or international. So, therefore, there is a requirement that the school principals or the head teachers adapt themselves, adapt the schools, the policies of the schools, the curriculum, the interpersonal relationships, the human resource development, and the other things. These have to be adapted or geared towards that change that we are talking about. Let me ask you very quickly, do you think the schools that you teach in these days have undergone a change from the schools of your times? When you used to study in schools, what are the differences that you see now? What are the differences that you see in the profile or the demographics of the schools? What are the differences that you might find in the curriculum? What are the differences that are there in the teaching learning methods? Just a little bit of discussion on this will help us to move forward with other things that we have planned out here. Who's going to volunteer and tell about the changes in the school system? Yeah. Please, please. I think one by one you can actually start speaking. Yeah. M- Mr. Anas, you can start, and I think Mr. Abdul can follow you. So, yes, very quickly, let's have the a discussion, or at least pointing out to the differences that are there in the school systems these days, in today's time. Yeah, please go ahead. I've given you a go ahead. You only need to unmute and start speaking. Please do that. Yeah, who will start first? Please. Yeah. Yes. Mr. Abdul, will you please start? And I think by the time Mr. Anas will also join us.
Can I start?
Please, yes. Please do that.
Okay. What
Yeah.
I've observed, um, comparing the system nowadays and the systems we used to have before, when it comes to the teaching method, the teaching method has changed greatly, because back in the days, in the 90s and the early 2000s, so we used to have more of structured teaching methods. But nowadays we have more of student-centered teaching methods, and the introduction of technology into classrooms, using technology to teach when it comes to the teaching, and the method of automating the teaching process, so it makes teaching much more easier compared to the 90s. Also, the teachers are more developed in terms of their knowledge. They are more advanced. A lot of teachers now use different textbook materials to present their lessons in class. So what I've observed are those things when it comes to the teaching method, the teaching aids, the other materials that are used in the teaching process. It's all changed compared to the way we used to have it in the 90s. Thank you.
A request that I think only the speaker's mic should be kept left on. I think others need to mute their mics because there's a lot of disturbance. In fact, a lot of what Mr. Abdul said, I was not even able to listen. And Mr. Please, can you now start with your points now? RC Dehradun, I need your help. Please, can you please mute mics of all the others who are not speaking currently? Now, can we have only the speaker's mic unmuted? If Mr. Anas, you are speaking, you have to unmute. The rest will keep their mics muted. Please go ahead. Yes, yes, please go ahead. Yes, Mr. Anas, are you going to speak? Yeah, please go ahead.
It's a couple. Okay.
I'm really sorry. I have not been able to hear a single complete sentence without any disturbance. So I think what I'll do is that right now we'll suspend this thing of inviting your comments on what has changed in the school system. Let me just start with trying to put things in a perspective with the changes that are being experienced in the schools. See, the point is this, that when we say that there are changes, we see palpable changes happening on the ground. We see palpable changes happening in the schools. What are the kind of changes? And if there are changes happening, then what kind of management skills, techniques, and attitudes are required of the head principals to be able to deal with those changes. So that's the point basically. Now let me say that the changes are happening at various levels. The first level is that there are local changes happening, national and international. What are the international changes happening? Let's start with that. First of all, that as you must have felt that there is this thing about globalization happening in a big way. All the countries willy-nilly, whether they want to be a part of it or not, have been pulled into it because of the fact that it's an economic phenomena and it's not leaving behind any nation. So all the markets of the different countries are getting integrated. The barriers between countries are getting removed. There's a lot of mobility of labor happening across the countries, and there is also sharing of capital happening all over. So whatever used to be produced in a particular country to be consumed in a particular country, it's not happening like that now. Production is happening elsewhere, consumption is happening elsewhere. So there is an integration of the markets, so to say, into one world economy or world market, which is taking place. With this, this is having an impact not only on the curriculum, not only on the job profiles, not only on how things are being taught, not only on the policies, etc., of the schools. This is actually impacting almost everything in a big way. We'll come to that and we'll see how it's happening. First of all, another economic phenomena which is happening because of globalization is what we call consumerism. Consumerism means that basically uh, something, whereby everybody becomes a consumer. You want to have more goods, you want to have more and more material comforts. You are looking at how what's happening in the West, what's happening in America, what's happening in Europe. And because now there are no barriers to people looking at the changes themselves, therefore those kind of lifestyles and consumption patterns are getting imbibed by countries in Africa, in Asia, and so on and so forth. So this consumerism means that the ability, or basically the appetite, to consume more of material goods is also taking place in a big way. So a lot of things in consumerism get tied down to wealth. It's a direct kind of a proportion of how much wealth you have, so that you can achieve that lifestyle. What happens, therefore, that certain values being taught in the school, being among in the community, in the family and all, are getting eroded gradually, because the important value which is coming up now everywhere is the ability to earn more and more wealth. So why I am talking about all this? Because I think all these also impact, these are international developments, but these do impact the school system. Let's say the vision of how schools should be structured, because they need to respond to these changes which are happening at the international level. I'll go in depth, and we'll discuss how that's happening. Now, regulatory frameworks for the schools are becoming tighter and tighter. We have international baccalaureate. In India, we have the Central Board of Secondary Examination. The regulatory systems are becoming much and more, much tighter, because they need to also conform to the standards which are being internationally adopted, not nationally so much anymore. Okay, so you have a talk about quality, performance, efficiency of the schools, and so on and so forth. So therefore, this is what is happening at a broader level, at a higher level. What's happening in family and society, which is having a direct impact on the school system? First of all, I think the breakdown of the family from the joint family to what is now called the nuclear family, where the husband and wife are there, both members most probably are likely to be earning, and there are children. Okay, so there is nothing like that many members in the family taking care of the children. As you know, there is a proverb that it takes a village to bring up a child. Okay, that system has broken down because of industrialization, because of globalization. It's incumbent now for husband and wife to earn. Migration has taken place from rural, semi-rural, semi-urban areas to more developed urban areas in search of jobs, and so on and so forth. So that family cushion and buffer is steadily breaking down. Therefore, what is happening? Things like sharing, cooperation, mutual respect, those values have now been are getting to the side. They are not in the center of the family which is bringing up the children, because of that breakdown that I'm talking about. Children without homes, that's also a phenomena which is taking place. But more importantly, single parents and children, we find single mothers, we find much more than single dads or single fathers. Women are being subjected to many things in the collapse of a joint family or a big family system, and because of their education and so on and so forth, they are also getting empowered, and they find themselves kind of adept at bringing up children. So many women now have taken to this role of bringing up the children singularly. But let me tell you, I'm not here assigning any value judgment on any of this to what is happening, to whether it is good or whether it is bad, but I'm just trying to enumerate the kind of changes that are happening in society. At the same time, there is also a lot of teenagers are taking to drugs, taking to alcohol, and so on. I mean, drugs is a menace which it refuses to go. Unfortunately, our teenagers, children in secondary and senior secondary schools, fall prey to the drugs and also to alcoholism. Apart from that, there is a change in the demographics itself of the children that are coming to school. Now you find, because there is a lot of emphasis on education as a source of mobility, both social mobility and economic mobility, we find that aspirations from education, expectations from education have increased manifold. Children or the families who are in the low income or low economic groups, similarly families that are socially marginalized, that have been socially marginalized, families who have remained at the periphery of society, all of them feel that we can enhance our status only through education, and quite rightly so. Education is one single factor which not only empowers or enlightens the individuals, but it is also a passport for economic mobility later on, and it kind of tends to bridge the differences which might be there amongst different strata of people in any particular society. So there, now schools are becoming much more inclusive. This is the word which is being used. This is being ensured by the voucher system. For instance, in our country, the private schools are expected to admit nearly 30% of children from economically weak families. So the private schools initially did not want to do this, but because it is a mandate of the government to ensuring that education becomes a right to becomes a right, and nobody is kind of debarred from that, the private schools also have had to adjust and accommodate children from various strata. So in our society and within our families, we find these changes taking place. Uh, at the same time, let me also tell you that direct fallout of globalization at one level has also been this, that changes in areas of study have come about. Let me give you an example. Now there is much more of emphasis on vocational and technical skills. There's a lot of emphasis on learning computers. There's a lot of skill on acquiring the skills of becoming a data engineer, because at the global level there are companies that require data engineers and so on and so forth. Similarly, entrepreneurship has emerged as an area, because now the governments also want, they cannot provide jobs and all, they want their the children to become adept or become knowledgeable about what it means to set up your own enterprise. So these are some of the changes which are coming about in the curriculum also. At the same time, humanities and liberal arts is taking a back seat. Engineering, pure sciences and all have kind of moved a bit ahead. Liberal arts and humanities, more so classical literature and things like that, have acquired a back seat. Like I said, that the job market also is asking for graduates who have computer skills and who have engineering skills and so on and so forth. So these are the changes which are occurring. Now these changes will have a direct kind of impact on the schools. We'll come to that later. I'll just stop here and I'll take your questions. And if there is anything that you want to add to what I have said, you are most welcome to do that. I think the whole group will benefit from that. So just quickly, let's have a sentence or two from you on whatever has been presented, that is the nature of the schools which is undergoing a change under national, under international, and under local levels. So the factors we have remunerated, and we will talk about how the policies and the curriculum also are supposed to respond to these changes. So any other factors that you would like to add on to the list, or anything that you do not agree with which has been presented, please go ahead. But do not unmute your mic except for the person who will be speaking. So I'm inviting your statements and comments quickly. Let's have that. Yes, is the class there, or yeah, Mr. Abdul, let's start with you. Can I have your comments on the presentations? Would you like to add something? Is your experience similar, or is it different than what I have presented here?
So far, it's the same thing with my experience.
All right. So anything that you would like to add, one or two things which might be different in your contexts?
Good morning. My presentation was wild and understandable, and all the factors that have been stated is the same all over. The nature of the extended family, which has turned to the
The only difference is, based on the cultural background, uh, you experience some few things that makes it to be different. As in Nigeria, and also being a northern part of Nigeria, so there will be a slight difference in just few things.
Okay. So, if this is the nature of changes, where do you think that the schools will need to change? What are the areas where the change in schools has to come about? Let's have an interactive 2-minute discussion on this, and then I go on to expand these points. Like I have said, and you also feel that the nature of changes is almost similar. Now let's go on to the next step. So this is the broad canvas of what is happening. If the schools have to respond to, let's say, globalization, if the schools have to respond to other factors like the lack of values amongst children, because the family is splitting from a joint to a nuclear to a single family, what is it that the schools will need to do, or the schools should not do anything? They should not bother, because after all their job is to teach, right? So just knowledge. Okay, if that is the view, then we can even have a discussion on that. But broadly, where do you think the changes will have to be brought about so that the schools can fulfill their missions of teaching effect? All right. I think I'll only have to drag on, because I was really expecting that these are very general things. You people are teachers. I don't think this is anything which is, straight from the book in that sense. These are experiential things, which almost everybody goes through, or everybody probably has reflected on during his or her career as a teacher so far. Okay, so the basic now premise that we are following is that the schools are indeed undergoing a change. Now, whether the changes are happening at the international level, at the national level, at the local level, I think an accommodation of these changes, or a recognition of these changes, has to be there by the schools, because otherwise they will not be able to cope with the changes. And if this happens, then there are certain implications that we can ourselves imagine. So where should the changes come about? One is about the policies of the school will have to change. Policies of the schools will have to change, rather, in the light of all these changes. What do I mean by policies? What is it being referred to here that one is talking about? A, the schools have to be inclusive in their demographic. They have to start believing that every child is capable, is able to learn, that there are differences amongst children, but those differences can be accommodated by the teacher in his or her teaching. So inclusive schools becomes one of the important policies of the school. The second thing is that the institution's vision, mission, and values and beliefs about education have to undergo a change. Should education be child centered, or should it be subject centered? If it is child centered, that means that we have recognized that now we know the way in which children learn. Earlier it was not like that, because the theories of learning did not point to the fact that children are capable and autonomous learners. They do not come with a blank slate. They in fact have acquired experiences because of their prior learning, and so on and so forth. These are based on their cultural interactions, but then these can be factored into the classroom teaching. So the institution's beliefs about the child, about how education should be, about what is education, what is learning, and indeed what is the purpose of education, has to undergo a change. So we've talked about the policies which need to be changed. We talked about the institutional beliefs that need to be changed. Then curriculum. Now, what has to change in curriculum in the midst of all the changes that I have been talking about? The basic thing is that the learning outcomes will have to be redefined. How will the learning outcomes be redefined? Here, we will talk about knowledge which is at the cutting edge. Whatever we are teaching has to be at the uppermost level of new additions being done to the corpus of knowledge worldwide. Whatever is the latest has to be taught. Obsolete knowledge, because if the teacher has not been able to find time to read, go to the library and read herself, obsolete knowledge cannot be transmitted anymore. The other thing is, the next outcome, the learning outcome that we should be able to redefine is, like, one I said is knowledge. The second is also about, let's talk about the attitudes. What kind of attitudes would we want in our children if they have to cope with the developments which are taking place in the 21st century? In the 21st century, we expect our children to become problem solvers. We expect them to be analytic in their minds. We expect them to be able to work in teams. We expect them to be critical in their thinking. We expect them to be original. Okay, these 21st century skills the learners have to have if we want them to compete internationally or even nationally, with jobs or being placed in different positions wherever they are. These are the skills that will be required. If we want them to be problem solving, our teaching learning methods will have to be like that. Our teaching learning methods then cannot be based only on lecture method. What will be the teaching learning method if we want them to be problem solvers? It will be through interaction, it will be through group work, it will be through being given a problem which we will ask them to solve, and we will stand there behind them to scaffold, to give them the support while they do their discoveries in knowledge and try to understand and make sense of things on their own. If we want them to be critical, what is it that we will have to do? We will have to generate an atmosphere of trust in the classroom, within the classroom, so that there is a discussion in which they are able to voice their opinions about whatever they have read or gone through or discussed with the teacher. The teacher will have to be much more democratic in her approach with the learners. Similarly, if we want that they should be hands-on, they should have technical knowledge, and also not only theoretical knowledge, or if we want the theoretical knowledge has to be applied on some on issues and problems, that ability should be there. Then again, the teaching methods will have to involve more of lab work, more of again problem solving, more of case studies being given so that they are able to understand and apply that knowledge to situation and cases which the teachers present. Similarly in science, and similarly it will hold true in commerce or humanities and arts and so on. In social sciences, for instance, I mean, how do we make them critical thinkers? How do we expect that they should be able to critique certain things which have been there for a very long time? The forms of government, the way the government functions, or the attempts being made to equalize education, or the attempts being made to in society, whatever, I mean, the government is doing, is it doing well? Are the economic reforms taking place? Who is benefiting? And how they should have been done? These are some of the examples I am giving you from the different disciplines which are taught at the school level. So when I say that learning outcomes will have to be different, I am also saying that not only the content selected for the curriculum, which has to be at the uppermost cutting edge of knowledge, incorporating all the developments that are going on and which need to be incorporated, that will be the content of the curriculum. But as we know, curriculum is much more than content. It's also about learning outcomes, it's about teaching methods, and it's also about assessment and evaluation. So for problem solving, what kind of questions should you have? Will you have the same questions? Will you have different questions? Will the questions be, let's say, will they be based on some kind of a, again, a case? Will they be based on authentic problems in society? Can we do authentic assessment in our classrooms? Is that possible? If that is to be done, what is it that we need to do? How do we prepare ourselves as teachers? Similarly, evaluation. What should be the purpose of evaluation? Will evaluation only be for trying to make sense of the student achievement, or will it also point a gap to learning, that where the student has not been able to understand, and how the teacher will fill in that gap? So we see that with whatever changes are taking place, our response from the school in terms of the policies, in terms of the beliefs and values and mission of the institution, in terms of the curriculum, it will all have to be dynamic. It will have to be responsive to the changes that are taking place. Otherwise, if the schools are static, if the schools are not being able to change their policies, change their curriculum, prepare themselves up through teacher training and so on and so forth for the incoming changes, then the schools will definitely lag behind. They will not be able to fulfill the purposes which the community, the parents, and the society expect from them. And mind you, I said in the beginning, a lot of hopes, a lot of aspirations are tagged to education. It helps in social mobility, it helps in economic mobility, and we can safely say that this is one of the most important tools of equalization. Okay, so the focus of society, parents, and the community is all on the schools, waiting for them to deliver, waiting for them to respond to the situations which I have talked about. So let me take a pause here, and I really sincerely want you people to please pitch in. And like I said, this is a quite a general kind of a discussion going on here, because I don't want it to become a one sided discussion. So whatever, you don't worry if it is right or wrong, that's not the point here. But please do pitch in with your comments. I'll take a pause and invite you once again to please pitch in. Let's start from the top or from the bottom, whatever way it suits you. Volunteer and uh, do talk and give your comments about it. Please, please come up with some. Do you agree with the way I feel that schools need to change, that the schools need to respond? Is there an agreement with that or not? At least a yes or no would be nice to hear. When one says that there are certain areas or domains uh, in the schools that will have to respond to changes, and outlining of the domains and areas, is there an agreement on that or not? Okay, so fine. I I think that we will probably I'll have to wait for some more time before you people open up and become party to the discussion. Let me move a little bit further now. I have spoken about the schools, and I will focus on the school leadership here, because the course is talking about head teachers as school leaders. So we will now very quickly go through the kind of challenges, or the kind of expectations, or the kind of issues which are there for the school leaders, and how, what is school leadership, we'll talk about that. And what are the areas and responsibilities of the school leaders, we'll also talk about that. So very quickly, let's go through this. Just give me a minute. I think I need to. Are you able to see the screen? Can you hear me, please? You able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
All right. And you are able to see your screen?
Yes, we can see it too.
Yes? Okay, let me start on this theme further. Let me just take it up a little more in detail. We have talked about school leadership in the context of the changes which are happening globally. So that basically means that no country, whether in Asia, Africa, Europe, or the US, is uh, is left out of the changes. I think the changes are impacting everybody. uh, Therefore, the imperative is that the school leadership has to therefore take charge and initiate certain steps within the school in order to take care of the factors that are impacting school education. It has become a priority now, because why is school leadership more of a priority now? Because here we are talking about the changing school outcomes also. Like I said in the beginning, a little bit prior to this, I was mentioning about the outcomes. Apart from that, the school leadership only will have to influence the motivations and capacities of the teachers. It will have to play an important role in the school climate and environment. Effective school leadership is essential to improve the efficiency and equality in the school system. You know how the school system moves, whether it is efficient or not, it's functioning in an equitable manner or not. This all will have to be the responsibility of the school leadership. That one single person responsible for ushering in these reforms at the school level is the school leader or the head teacher, as we will call him or her. Now, leadership in education will change in a way that we will have more focus on the principles, purpose, and people. We call this 3 P's in school leadership. Okay. What are the 3 P's? One is the principles. When I was talking about the principles and the values and all in the decline or the disintegration of the family system, I did point out that certain values and premises are not there because the family system itself has changed. So a lot of children and also a lot of teachers actually have not really experienced this in their lives, in their when they were children, and so on and so forth. The school leader, however, will have to in his or her leadership style bring in the principles. Now, principles here we are talking about in 3 important aspects: the humanity principles or the morals, the nationality morals, and the spirituality morals. What are the humanity morals? Are being cooperative, being polite to each other, empathy, helping out, standing for each other in terms of crisis, and so on. Everything that a human being ought to be doing for another human in case in his or her interaction. Nationality morals are basically the morals which derive from what is important in a particular country at the national level. I'm sure I can include the morals of equality and equity, justice, transparency, and freedom as nationality morals of your countries also. Okay, I mean, these are morals which are present in the fabric of a nation, at least in the constitution, should I say that. And in practice also, I mean, governments do try to imbibe, and they also try to implement these morals from time to time. Now, what are spirituality morals and why are they important? Spirituality morals are things like, when we talk about gratitude, when we talk about benevolence, when we talk about patience, and so on and so forth. So the teachers and the principal, when they have these spirituality, nationality, and humanity morals, obviously the presumption is that the school children are going to learn this. The rest of the teachers will learn also. They will try to imbibe these morals in their day to day functioning. These are the morals which should constitute the personalities of the school leader, the teachers, and subsequently of the students at school also. Now, let's go to the second P, which is the purpose, the core business of the school. What is the core business of the school? What does it talk about? What is the focus? It could be the focus could be excellence. The focus could also be quality. The focus could be imparting vocational and technical skills in a manner that employment and job absorption becomes a core value, has become a core value of the school. Then we come to the third P, which is social relationships in the school. Social relationships in the school are not only the interpersonal relationships with the head teacher is likely to have with the fellow teachers, or with the children, but these are also the relationships that extend beyond the school, but at the same time they are important to the school also. And here I mean the relationships with the parents, the relationship with the community, the relationship with the society. In fact, the relationship with different stakeholders, the relationship also with the with the internal human resources, teachers or non-academic staff, and so on and so forth. So these three P's are extremely important, and the leadership in school will have to take cognizance of these. At the same time, let me focus now on the last sentence, which says that these have to be juggled in a way that all three become mutually supportive, which means that with my morals in spirituality, I'm able also to hone my humanism, and I'm also extend this to the social relationships, so that we can almost say that these are not mutually exclusive. There is an overlap. They have to be seen and worked on in a manner that they are balanced and mutually supportive. Now, what is happening overall, we find that the management styles have become much more decentralized. Schools are becoming much more autonomous in their decision making, and accountability is being foisted into their working. And when I say all this, I'm talking much more about the public school. Public school means that the state run schools. State run schools, as far as accountability is concerned, they have to be financially accountable, they have to be accountable for the student achievement. At the same time, they also have to be accountable for the kind of teachers that are recruited, and so on and so forth. The thing about decentralization and making school more autonomous probably does not apply so much to government schools at the moment. I will say meager attempts are being done. Much more needs to be done, because otherwise centralization and control in the leadership only is not going to have good results for the working of the school. Autonomy, we are saying, it has to be a bit detached from the directorate, from the inspectorate, from the ministry, and so on and so forth. They should be able to decide their own goals. They should be able to decide their own curriculum. They should also be able to have a lot of autonomy as far as the teaching, learning, and assessment methods are concerned. But I would still say that I put a question mark over there, because I feel that at the moment accountability kind of prevails much more over decentralization and autonomy as far as the government schools are concerned. 1 minute. Evidence based. Now, what is the requirement is that the student performance has to be jacked up, and there is a diversity of student population. We've already talked about that, and this diversity means that there could be children who are coming from education deficit environments, which means that parents have not been to school, they have not done schooling, the atmosphere at home is not so conducive towards their studies, and all the home environment is such that they are not kind of encouraged, because there might be tasks to be done at home, there might be other factors, even the deprivation, economic deprivation could be a reason, and so on and so forth. So the diversity of student population is a challenge at the moment that we have to acknowledge. The fact that the diverse students also have to show results, there has to be an improvement in their performance, is more challenging. So how does one tackle that as a student? And here, if you look at the last line, we are here talking about evidence based teaching practice. What does it mean, evidence based teaching practices? I think I would have loved to ask any one of you, but maybe we'll keep it at later. Let me just explain. Evidence based teaching practices mean that when the teacher is not relying on subjective teaching practices, meaning If as a teacher I feel that in my classroom lecture method which I have chosen to adopt is giving results, if I feel that it is giving results, but my performance or achievement of the students is showing that it is not, they're not doing so well, but subjectively I have decided that the fault is with the students, it's not with my teaching practice, so I need not change that teaching practice. Evidence based teaching will mean that you have to try out different teaching practices as experimentation and see that what gives result. Some kind of action result can be undertaken here, or different teaching practices like a classroom discussion, like a group discussion, or a project work has to be done in the classroom, and then one has to arrive at the conclusion that which teaching practice will help the most. It cannot be done like that through subjectivity. So now, once again, let's redefine school leadership. We are here talking about higher degrees of autonomy with appropriate support from the governmental and non-governmental agencies. School leaders need time, capacity, and support to focus on the practices most likely to improve student learning, because this is at the core of any kind of reform. The focus on teaching, learning, and student performance achievement constitutes the core of any functioning of any school. So everything is built around that. Whatever the school leaders need in terms of their focus and support and all, which is geared towards student learning, needs to be brought into the school, and needs to be the school leadership has to be armed with all these things. So greater degree of autonomy coupled with new models of distributed leadership, new types of accountability, and training and development, these are the keywords here, and we will tackle them a little later. Learning outcomes have to be improved. They are at the core of school leadership practice. Four major domains of responsibility. Earlier we have talked about the 3 Ps. Here we will talk about the domains of responsibility which the school leadership has to undertake in order to improve student outcomes. One is supporting, evaluating, and developing teacher quality. Unless the teachers are equipped, unless the teachers are trained, unless there are capacity building reforms, or unless training is an integral part of the annual calendar of every school, uh, these things will not be achieved. So the school leaders will have to usher in teaching programs which cater to the local needs, which promote teamwork, and engage the teachers in monitoring, evaluation, and professional development. So development of teacher quality for improved learning outcomes is one thing. Let's go to the second strategy that one had talked about. It's goal setting, assessment, and accountability. They should have the discretion in setting strategic direction. Where is my school headed? For instance, let me give you an example. Like in class 12, this time I will decide that all the students in mathematics class will achieve more than 70 or 80%. That's one decision which I will take as a school leader. And of course, this will be optimized with other decisions also. And apart from that, the capacity to develop school plans and goals and monitor progress using data to improve practice. This is important. Like I said, this does not have to be subjective anymore, it has to be data based. Then strategic financial and human resource management. Strategic financial management is also a part of accountability, especially when the money comes from the state and the government. So the accountability in terms of in terms of financial support, how well the money is being how well the money is being spent, whether it is within the framework of the rules and regulations, whether the role of the financial manager has been supportive or good enough, as far as positive enough as far as the financial support is concerned. All this has to be, whether he or she has the skills to draw up financial plans, budgets, allocations, and so on and so forth. All this is very important as far as the school leadership is concerned. Now, collaboration with other schools is important. Like a low performing school and a high performing school can get together. They can share resources, human resources, financial resources, and also other material resources can be shared. School They can bank upon each other to augment the overall efficiency of the school. And important again is to make school leadership an attractive profession. Unless the state realizes that recruitment has to be professionalized and not based on recommendations of political leaders or big society people and so on, it has to be optimum support has to be given for development of school leaders, professional development. Their role has to be acknowledged as something which is very crucial, critical, and appreciated. These things are very, very important if we want our school leaders to become effective teachers, or if we want our head teachers to become effective school leaders. Distributed leadership is one such this thing, which had come a little earlier, and this is not discussed in the course material. This is something which is kind of a new concept, but I think the spellings here are wrong. It's leader, DER. The approach means that collective. It's not a distribution just randomly. It is an approach which is taken because of the fact that collaborative working between individuals with respect and trust for each other's contribution is an important factor. When we are talking about decentralization, we are talking about distribution. That's a more apt and appropriate term. It's not a management technique. Everybody, it is presumed, is an important source of knowledge, experience, and wisdom. So therefore everybody has to be roped into this. The culture in such a leadership is that people work with shared purpose, teamwork, and respect, and everyone is responsible and accountable in his or her area of assigned work. Why distributed leadership? Because school administrators cannot be available everywhere at every time, because everyone feels free to develop and share new ideas. Everybody wants to contribute to the institution. Distributed leadership supports and strengthens outstanding individuals, helpful in reculturing the organization, and also in improving human relations. It's helpful in solving complex problems in management and academic field. Uh, Let me just again take a pause here and get back. Yeah, now please, is there anything else you people have thought of in the meantime? Is there anything we want to discuss or you want to discuss? Please let me know. We can get into a discussion mode. Yes, Mr. Abdul? Mr. Abdul.
Yes, I
Yes.
think literally everything has been most important aspect has been discussed when it comes to school and development and all the changes that are being experienced and are expected. So I think you've discussed every most important things that are needed to be discussed. I think what's on my mind it's on about the other courses, not on this course. Maybe on the teachers, school leaders relationship, and then the the performances or how active the teachers are when it comes to the teaching. There are teachers that have the experiences, they have the knowledge, but they are not that active enough. So that is what maybe I want us to also look at again. Thank you.
So you're basically talking about the teachers who are not so active despite the fact that they have the knowledge and the skills for teaching, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, when we talk about improving the quality of teachers, in the sense that whatever are the gray areas, I mean, if I'm not able to teach properly, but I have the knowledge and I have the skills, then I think more about the techniques of teaching in a group with my fellow teachers probably needs to be undertaken before I get into the class and start teaching the students. So what can be done is that a simulation kind of a classroom can be done where there are only teachers and one teacher is asked to actually teach some content which she is comfortable with, and then get a feedback from the rest of the teachers who are there as to what is lacking in the teaching. Okay, so if we have sessions for professional development like this, not only for teaching techniques but also for knowledge areas, it's quite possible that my knowledge has become obsolete. I have not caught up with the new developments which are taking place in my subject area. So we can have people who can act as resource persons who are probably much more confident and are aware and have updated themselves in the content area. They can come and we can discuss, I mean, the rest of the class which is there, they can discuss, they can sort out their confusions in the mind. They can talk about the hard spots, certain things which they are not able to teach well to the students, and they are lacking in the content also. They are not very sure whether some principles sometimes related to let us say economics or political science or physics or chemistry are could be such that we are not very comfortable with the content, not very sure about it. So those all such things can be taken up if we have regular refresher groups, refresher programs, orientation programs, and so on and so forth. So that will also become a part of reculturing the school, looking at the school as a learning organization where whatever I have learned before, I will unlearn because that's no longer relevant. I will relearn new things again because certain new things have come up in the content, in the techniques, in the understanding of my students, that I can relearn those, unlearn and then relearn. So that can be a part of the reculturation cycle of the school itself. I hope that I mean, you agree with that observation of mine. So anybody else? Muniba, will you like to pitch in? And then we also have Reverend Kwadutu. Okay, please, can we hear from you? Any observation, any comment, any question, Anything that you would like to?
I've been following, and then it is quite educative for me. But I would also say that with the
Yes, please go ahead. I think you've lost the connection, not able to hear you anymore. Yes, Muniba. So basically, what I'm going to do now is move to a few more of the PowerPoint presentations, because today I had decided that I will take up 2 units of the first block. And but then, like I said, I was really hoping that we would be interacting a lot. Sadly, that has not happened. And in my subsequent sessions, the next one is supposed to be on the 8th of Feb. I really want you people to speak much more than I am speaking here, because I do feel that you have valuable inputs, and I think we should make this interaction a bit exciting for everybody. Everybody should be able to feel that he or she has contributed to the discussion. So I think that's also one of the very important objectives of holding an online interaction, that it should never be one way. It has to be mutually contributed to. So my contribution seems to be the maximum at the moment, but I'm sure this will change in the forthcoming sessions. Let me proceed a little bit further to the rest of the PowerPoints, and then maybe we can yeah, can you see can you see this? Is this visible?
Yes, ma, it is.
All right,
yes,
thank you.
it is very visible. We
All
can see it.
All right. So let me move a bit further. I think you have been able to appreciate that delegation of responsibility, or devolution, or decentralization is something which we are no longer talking about. We are talking about it, but I think we have come up with a much better term, which is called distributed leadership, and I did talk about that. If you look at what the term itself implies, that leadership can be distributed. Okay, so what does that mean? That it may not always reside in one person. That's not necessary that it should be within one person. Okay, so accountability, responsibility, and I mean, your roles, accountability, and responsibility is something which has to be distributed amongst a larger group of people, because each individual is an asset to the organization. And it's not like that only a few are able to uh, 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 discharge this responsibility because they have the competencies, the knowledge, and the skills. No, everybody can do with a bit of training here and there, a bit of a bit of capacity building here and there, and this is how it should be. It should be distributed. Let me come to another point here, where we are talking about instructional leadership. What is instructional leadership? What is it all about, and why is it so important in the concept in the context of a school? See, school is all about instruction, right? School is all about teaching and learning. The core, only single core important thing in a school is that it focuses on teaching and learning, because the objectives of a school, the vision and mission of a school, is to impart instruction. Okay, Around that, all the learning outcomes and so on and so forth are based depending on the content, depending on the curriculum. Okay. So then, if instruction is so much of an important part of of the school system, we need to have somebody who is a leader in instruction, or there has to be something which is known as instructional leadership. Okay. Now, purpose of instructional leadership here would be target setting with affordable strategies. Basically, what does it mean? That, like I gave you an example, in class 6, I want the knowledge and competencies of children in science to develop around themes such as, let us say, photosynthesis, or in physics, maybe equilibrium or pulleys, or whatever. I mean, if I want in class 6, everybody, each child in all the sections should have knowledge of how photosynthesis takes place. So this becomes a target for me. If I have seen that in the last years, the children have not, last year results, the children have not been able to do well in their English literature, target setting will mean looking at the deficiencies through the school plan. You can do that also. That's also an important way of coming to know your shortcomings and deficiencies. But while we talk about the deficiencies, we just do not only talk about the deficiencies, we also talk about the forward movement of the school. For instance, if computer education is something which I feel as a school leader that there is a demand from the community, there is a demand from the industry, there is a demand from the government, and job market wants computer students with skills in computer programming, data entry, and this, that, and the other. So I will set a target that I will acquire 20 computers, and with that, maybe also have n number of teachers. And but this will cost me a lot, because a hall has to be made to place the computers and so on, and the financial resources are not so flexible. So all this will be done within affordability of the financial framework. How much can we push and buy or build or do or recruit, and so on and so forth. This is something I'm sure you all of you know. I'm just reading through it again. Ensuring quality of instruction. Again, how can this be done? It can be done through evidence-based data. Data has to be relied on. We cannot say that we are planning to improve through this method, that, but what does the data say? How have the children performed? Why have they not performed well? What was the problem? Was it to do with the family? Was it to do with the home environment? What was it to do with absenteeism? What was the thing? Need to have concrete data in our hand to do that. Management of curriculum. Both curricular and co-curricular is something that needs to be managed well. Monitoring lesson plans. Are the teachers teaching according to the plans? Are they making plans in the first place? What is their way of teaching? Are they emphasizing on rote learning? Are they inculcating skills like what I had mentioned, problem solving, analysis, evaluating, or comparing? I mean, how exactly are the lessons being planned? On which philosophy of teaching, learning? Allocating resources, evaluating teachers regularly to promote student learning and their growth. Addressing the cultural, linguistic, socioeconomic, and learning diversity in school community. How do you address? You don't address it through a morning assembly or something. You address it because you have come to know the needs of these diverse student populations in your school. You probably have come to know that the socio-economic environment from which certain group of children come is not very conducive for their education. The atmosphere at home, because of variety of reasons, does not promote. It's not a knowledge or a learning rich environment, so therefore their attempts of the children are not encouraged over there. Similarly, language. What was their mother tongue? What is the language of instruction in school, in class? How the teacher is going to form a bridge so that they can graduate from the mother tongue to the formal language of instruction at school. So these are some of the issues which the instructional leadership, which is basically residing in the head teacher, he or she will have to take care of all this. But this is not to say that the teachers themselves are not responsible for almost each one of these factors. Now, these are the instructional skills that the school heads need to have if they want to take their school forward. Okay, so I end basically with head teachers as school leaders, because I have talked about the factors impacting the school system. I have also talked about what are the qualities that should be there within a school leader, and what are the strategies which he or she has to adopt in order to become an effective teacher, then effective school leader. Then I have at the same time also talked about the importance of distributed leadership. What does it mean as a strategy? This should be tried out in the schools. If the power and authority of this thing has to devolve, of the school leader has to devolve to below, which will only that will result in effective functioning. Then finally, I've talked about instructional leadership, because as I have said, that instruction is the core, is the basis around which the school functions. Everything else is geared to optimizing teaching learning. All resources, all reforms are geared towards that one single thing. So therefore the leadership has to be instructional also at the same time. Okay, let me now come to educational management. Now this is the second unit in your first block. Let's see, what is educational management? It is a concept which has educational administration and educational leadership also into it. We'll get to this. Educational leadership, almost what we have talked in instructional leadership. Let's see what is educational administration, and then educational management. We are saying there's a triology. The concepts overlap. They are not mutually exclusive, but they do have overlaps. But again, how we define educational management and the rest of the two concept has also cultural connotation, and it also depends on the context where these terms are used. Just, I thought this was an important way of looking at the differences between educational management and educational leadership. When we talk about management in education or educational management, we are talking about the performance of the left brain thinking, which is, it is logical, rational, and thought patterns dominate. It is so called masculine because the thinking of most of the the left brain thinking is mostly around logical and rational domains. So educational management, therefore the vocabulary that we use is improvement, control, accepting, conformity, systems, structures, standards, analysis, continuity, and training. So these are pretty much masculine. If you control, accepting, conformity, systems, structures, standards, analysis, in the context of the schools, the educational management will employ or the definition of educational management employs these things, which I have talked about. Let's talk about educational leadership. The thought patterns are residing in the right brain, okay, right side of the brain. These are more emotional and creative thought patterns. And if we look at the comparison, more feminine in nature, because they are more emotional and creative. So in place of improvement, we have transformation. In place of control, we have trust. In place of accepting, we have questioning. Accepting means you take for granted everything which is there. Questioning means that you question everything. Why is it like this? Why this rule exists for this? What purpose does it serve? Why this cannot be changed? Why? How should it be changed? So questioning is altogether a different thing. Okay. Then we go to systems. Here we are talking about conformity. Instead of structures, we are talking about relationships amongst individuals, whether the teachers, the community, the society, the parents, and so on and so forth. In place of standards which are fixed, that of the standards of evaluation or performance and so on and so on, indicators, you have emotions. Then analysis, we have values. Continuity, we have intuition. And for training, we have innovation. So these are, for training we have coaching or mentoring. For continuity, in place of continuity, we have innovation. So educational management is about, therefore when we are talking about this, is this in a nutshell, it's a deliberate planned action towards the achievement of specific goals or policy objectives. Okay. Will involve things as getting a license for the school, setting up the building, advertisement for admissions, employing staff, teaching and non-teaching staff, deciding the curriculum, acquiring books, aids, equipments, preparing for admission of children, admitting children, beginning of classes, teaching, testing, evaluating, promoting, managing staff so that they are geared to the main functions of the school, managing the finances of the school, which are appropriate to the at the right time, away and right amounts available, so that teaching and learning can take place efficiently. Now let me just conclude that though one is talking about educational management over here, the word the way to go is to talk more in terms of educational leadership. So therefore we do not persist with the term educational management. Like in my previous discussion, I did talk about the leadership, the leadership, the school leader or educational leadership, because this is much more of a value laden and much more of a comprehensive term, the educational leadership instead of educational management. I think I have almost come to the end of my interaction, my presentations, not really interactions, since we couldn't. And then I think we have one person, James.
Hello, madam.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You joined just now?
Yes, there was some lapses somewhere, so that caused me to delay. Sorry.
All right. So, see, basically now, as you all know, we have started our counseling with you people. Okay.
Okay.
Counseling is not something which is like a lecture. Today, the entire time kind of, was gone or taken up in, I thought we will be able to discuss. These are very general discussions. As teachers, since most of you are teachers, I do presume that all of you would be extremely comfortable with talking about issues which confront you in your schools, the problems that you encounter, and how you can learn from this particular postgraduate diploma, so that you are able to build your knowledge, competencies, and skills to become more efficient in your work. Okay. And for some reason that did not come through today, but the rest of the sessions, I appeal to you that please We should be opening up for interaction. You people will feel bored with a very one sided presentation. I am already beginning to feel bored because I've been talking and talking and talking, right? So, hopefully, you will participate much more. Don't worry if you have not had the time to go through the materials. It would be nice if you are able to browse through the materials, but in case you haven't been, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you can bring out your own experiences as teachers. If you are not teachers, it would be still nice if you can just look around, if you have been able to look around yourselves and see how schools work, how teachers work, or your own experiences as students. What is it that you found amiss? So if we can bring them all together here on the session, it will become much more participatory and enjoyable, right? What do you say? What is the opinion that you people have regarding how we should make this session more interesting?
I think that the discussion, we bringing on board what we find in our schools for discussion is going to help, so that it will become something like I learn something from you, you also learn something from me, and it will help.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. It's basically an interaction which should result in mutual learning. I learn from you. I haven't been to Africa. I should know how the systems operate over there. I'll give you some knowledge of how what we do here, which basically we put in the course materials also. Okay. But in case you people add to what is being discussed, it will be nice. It will be it will augment, add to my learning also. And it will become very interactive. You would have had the sense of contribution, contributing to the session. You will learn much more and faster. Okay. So I think what James is saying is right. And what about Muniba? What do you say to this? This idea is good or not? Works for you or not?
It is a welcome idea. By bringing upon what we have learned in our various schools will help in the learning system.
Okay. And our third participant, uh, Reverend Dr. Kwadu, can I have your opinion as well if you are there? Can we have? All right. So, see, basically, I also request you to ask more participants to join in. Is it possible for you people to contact them? Are you people in touch, or have you kind of randomly only registered here? Do you know of more people? Yeah.
I think that we can use their numbers on them on WhatsApp, then send them private messages, and then encourage them to come in.
That's very nice, and please do form a WhatsApp group, and that will help you also as you navigate your course. Gradually it will help you to kind of stick together, to know from each other what is to be done, and also to exchange issues. But first and foremost, all right. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. We have a message from him saying that we are all on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So please do get in touch with them and ask them to be present here. The more we have, the more fun we'll have. I can assure you of that. So I think I'll just leave you with this. Thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed the session, and hope to meet you in the other sessions also soon. All right. So thank you very much, and goodbye to all of you.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Bye.
So I now request our colleagues at the regional center to please wind up the session. Uh, RC Dehradun, can you please wind up the session for us?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
So, ma'am, should we end the
Yes, I
session?
think it's time, and I've also kind of completed whatever I had to discuss. So,
Okay, okay. Yes. So I'm going to end the session and stop the recording. Thank you, ma'am.
so thank you to everybody, and see you soon. Thanks and bye.